Right. Good afternoon. Uh, Today I want to talk about a work of art that is destined for the surface of the moon. It is the moon arc, which is here in this picture. Uh, the bearded, red-headed man next to it is me. This picture was taken 3 years ago when the piece was on display here in Pittsburgh in the Gem Hall at the Carnegie Museum of Natural History, right in Oakland. I've got some slides, and I'm going to talk through in a bit more detail what the piece is in its construction and what my involvement was in the in the design of the work. Throughout the duration of the project, there have been hundreds of people involved, either like me, sort of from the artistic, conceptual side, or in the actual fabrication of the piece. What you're seeing in this picture here are 4 cylinders that will fit together. They're each about 3 inches, and about the diameter of a quarter. And each cylinder has a specific theme related to the earth, up through to the ether, the etheric chamber, which is the piece, the section that the work that I was involved in can be found. So I've got some slides, if I can find them. Here they are. And this graphic here shows how the chamber fits together. Like there's discs that are etched that sit on the top and the bottom, and then there are engraved, they're color, but they're engraved images that then form the cylinder, and then there's the outer framing that allows it to rest in the lunar lander. The lunar lander is carrying this as an artistic payload. It's, of course, not the primary objective of the lander. And the launch date does keep moving. The most recent update is sometime in the next year, but that's been the update every year. To be honest, I'm a little out of the loop recently. So it could go tomorrow, for all I know. There are 2 of them that have been made, 2 identical. One will go to the surface of the moon, where it will then rest undisturbed in the lunar atmosphere, or lack of atmosphere. And the other one, I think I saw a recent update that it's going to be on part of the permanent exhibit at the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. They have a collection. I think it's a new area, a new collection on flight and the arts. So actually, when that's up and running, it'll be great to go see. Whether this piece is on display or not, I don't know, but it'll be in the collection. So it's quite a valuable artifact just from the material that it's made from, and then of course the craftsmanship and the technology that went into forming it. My piece, I worked on 2 sections. One of the sets of images, and then one of these discs here. And I'm going to talk about the disc because it leads into kind of a secondary project that my friend Lowry and I did. This is a playing slideshow, which I don't really want to use it like that. So I'm going to, okay, here we go. Oops. Okay, the gate into the ether with sonic hologram to Andromeda. So a toroid ice casting, that's this, right? It's a sculpture that Lowry worked on, and it's big enough that you would need both hands to hold it, and it's heavy enough that it would actually be a bit of a struggle to hold it out. This is one of the images that was taken, and I like this image because what I did with it was scanned it in and then used it to modify the envelope of a piece of music. And I'm going to put a link to that piece of music in the description, and if I think about it, I'll add it on to the video as well here, so you can hear it. So back to the disc, what this represents is two things: a representation of the toroid itself, and then the sound waves of the piece of music that created. I called it a piece of music. That actually at the time we called it a sound hologram or a sonic sculpture, which is probably a little bit better purpose to describe it, because its ultimate intent was to be broadcast from a radio telescope to the Andromeda galaxy. And the act of listening to it, although you'll find that it's an exquisitely beautiful piece of music, if I do say so myself, the purpose of it was to become this electromagnetic object that is then hurtling through space. And I conceive of it that way, that the broadcast took about 7 minutes, and now there's this object extended in time within the magnetic medium that is moving, out towards Andromeda. So what does this statement mean? The music is derived from a three-dimensional holographic image of the gate into ether, translated into musical form. So this is the gate into the ether, the sculpture, right? This is an image of the gate into the ether. And then I use the software that allows me to take a graphic image and superimpose it on the envelope of a sound. So essentially reverse engineering the sound as if the image that had been entered into the tool was the spectrum of sound. What sound would create the spectrum that image represents? All right. So, and then I played the sound back, and you get this sort of echo of the shape, where the process of turning it into sound and then playing it back and analyzing the sound. Do you understand the steps? Right? The image used to recreate the sound, the image used to create the sound, to reverse engineer the structure, the gesture, and then that played, analyzed, and then this is the result of that analysis. It represents the file that was actually broadcast to Andromeda. And here are a couple of photos of the radio telescope that we used for that. It's a radio telescope from the 50s. It's a really beautiful place out in Holland. And here, I'll just let these slides play through. That's my friend Lowry. He was the primary investigator, or whatever it was called, for the whole program, and sort of the vision behind the art. Part of his greatness, part of his great vision was to be able to bring together all of these people with so many different skill sets to actually implement it. And here we are with a couple of other people. That's me there, looking well dressed and groomed. And we're actually just plotting it out at this point. The control room that we're sitting in, of course, moves with the telescope, which was a wonderful experience. This whole room would just rotate as the telescope was aimed together. Here we are listening to it go. That's a great picture. I should wear a tie and a vest more often. It suits me. So look, I'm going to get a bit spiritual, and you can choose to skip over this bit or listen to it and dismiss it or criticize me in the comments. But the object to Andromeda is a trigger point. For what, I'm not entirely sure. Lowry has passed since this happened, and those kinds of ideas and that kind of vision uh, was essential to his art. This beautiful picture of Andromeda, probably a Hubble picture. What I can say is that for myself, as I slough off anxiety and doubt, my art becomes more authentic. And while I am not a cosmic visionary like Lowry was, um, I do create sound, particularly in my electronic studio, that is vibratory to a purpose. There is a liturgical purpose behind that music. Is there a liturgical purpose? I guess that was the end of it at the Andromeda slide. Is there a liturgical purpose behind a piano sonata that I write? No, not really. That's more like what happens to a person when our emotions are activated, or when we turn inward and reflect. I think that there is a point in liturgical art that anticipates, and there's a liturgical process that recapitulates the human state, not necessarily the material, but the human condition. So look, let me stop there and drop in the audio file to listen to, and maybe I'll put on some. Maybe I'll see if I can figure out how to add in some cool little imagery, like a image tracker type thing, just so you've got something to watch. And in the meantime, keep your wits about you. Do like and subscribe and share this material. And I will check you all again soon. Okay.